We have done a phenomenal job increasing high school graduation rates, but now we have twice as many students skipping school due to COVID. Dr. Robert Balfanz is an iconic researcher that ignited national change in reducing the number of high school dropouts in America. His first major findings in the early 2000s show that just 12% of the nation's roughly 20,000 high schools are responsible for half of the nation's dropouts. In 2006, Dr. Balfanz coined a term for these schools called dropout factories, which struck the minds of leaders across the nation like lightning, leading to mainstream documentaries and large amounts of funding to solve the problem. He and his colleagues from Everyone Graduates Research Center at the School of Education at Johns Hopkins University received a federal award of roughly $30 million. It was matched in equal amounts by private donations to support a rollout of his program in 10 of the most troubled districts in the nation. After decades of stagnation in the early 2000s, the high school graduation rate finally began to move up. It went from low 70% range to where it remained since the early 1970s to now 85%. When you read Dr. Balfanz's research and how he defines dropout factories, it sounds a lot like what we're living through today as we struggle with distance learning. He defines dropout factory as a school in which year in and year out, a significant number of underprepared and disengaged students enter their ninth grade. They struggle to succeed. They become further disengaged and stop attending on a regular basis. I don't know about you, but this sounds like my third period Zoom class.
Regular attendance is essentially the key to school success. I mean, it's that old cliche, 90% is showing up, and it's true for school. That if you're not in school on a regular basis, it's hard to build your knowledge. It's hard to use your skills enough that they're easy to access. You lose your relationships with your peers and your teachers, which we know, especially for adolescents, is fundamental to their motivation to learn. They're not just learning because somebody tells me I have to do it to get a good job. That's far in the future for a 15-year-old. They get it, but that's not what's going to get them out of bed in the morning and put them in a classroom. It's that they have peers that they know care about them and want to be and learn with them. They have teachers they know that care and know about them as a person and want them to succeed. And when those connections are broken, you just disengage and you ask, what's the point?
We have been living through the ramifications of dropout factories for decades, as it's been a systemic problem, where COVID, on the other hand, has been an in-your-face shock, disrupting every guardrail we know that worked to support kids. A national survey this fall estimated that twice as many students are skipping school this year than previously. For most schools across the country, that means a drop from around 9% attendance to 90%. According to the 74, Cleveland School District dropped from 91% to 81%. The school district had 36,900 students last school year, and now they have about 28,200 attending classes on a typical day. That's a drop of more than 8,000 students.
In the spring, everything was pass-fail because it was so new and fresh, and they basically told them where you are in March was where you'll be at the end of the year. And that was reasonable under those circumstances. But it told the kids also that it was sort of schooling was optional, right? If it's not going to count and my connections are bad and it's weird sitting in my bed going to school, and a lot of the times they're just sending me worksheets to do. I'm not even interacting with people. But then roll around, everyone thought we'd be back and we weren't. And when it was virtual again, now they're grading, right? They're giving grades. And when you don't turn stuff in, you get zeros. And when you get zeros, and even if your average was something else that's a B or a C, you still end up failing. So we know that failure rates are way up, even for students that are participating.
On December 10th, the National Student Clearinghouse, the nation's best source for tracking college attainment data, produced its 8th National College Progression Rates report, which is the first time the clearinghouse could trace the impact of COVID-19 on student achievement. They used the data from 2020 high school graduates from 2,300 high schools. The report showed that college enrollment for low-income high school graduates declined by 29.2%, compared to 16.9% drop from their counterparts from higher income high schools. At community colleges, the drop for low-income students was even more dramatic, 37.1%.
A good number of those kids that have disappeared from high school and haven't shown up are actually working to get income for their families. Because those families have been hard hit, and there is employment in the delivery services, which provides decent part-time wages, but for a family trying to pay electric bills or rent, it's extremely important. And these kids feel great agency doing that. right? I could be in my bedroom with a broken Zoom connection, not understanding what's going on because I can't ask questions, or I could be out helping saving my family. As a teenager, that gives you a great sense of agency. And in the moment, that's like probably good. But if we don't have systems to bring you back after that sort of thing, then you're going to pay a very high price long term for what is really sort of a noble act in the moment.
If we can just keep students on track and give them the structure, the same effort that they take to support their family can also lead to long-term post-secondary success. He can predict with reasonable certainty which high school students will do well in college, and his findings might be surprising.
We've done prior work on sort of predictive indicators of high school graduation, and that worked out to be what easily to remember the ABCs, which was attendance, behavior, and course performance. So you show up, you're able to stay focused in class, not get in trouble, and you get your work done. It's like blocking and tackling. You move the ball forward, you succeed. We then asked ourselves, well, what about post-secondary success? Is that the same? Is it different? And what we found was, you boil it down to a bumper sticker, which is decent grades in challenging classes. And what I thought was so encouraging about that is it wasn't like great grades and really hard classes, which is hard to see everybody achieving. If we say everyone's got to have an A average and take 6 AP classes, we can clearly see that everyone isn't going to want to or decide to do that. But if we say you just need more B's than C's, more A's than F's, you just need a solid B average in the end and take reasonably challenging classes that are aligned with the state university system. It was amazing. Kids that did that and came to school at least 92%, which is still missing 2 weeks of the year. It's not perfect, right? 80% of those kids are in BAs, which is really an astounding thing. And of the kids that did get a BA, only 10% had none of those characteristics. That tells you it's a really big discriminator that if you come most days, do decent work in challenging classes, 8 out of 10 succeed. If you don't do that, only 1 out of 10 succeed.
After so much progress from reducing dropout factories and increasing graduation rates, COVID-19 has been a setback that many schools cannot imagine. However, if anyone can help schools heal and get to a solution, it's Dr. Balfanz and his team. He shows to be more than a researcher, and his center has shown the ability to mobilize coalitions to get results. Just this weekend, he was a part of Brookings Institution's task force on next generation community schools that wrote an open letter to the Biden administration requesting immediate executive action to address the impact of COVID-19 and combat educational inequality long term. If Tech had Steve Wozniak, Jurassic Park had John Hammond, education has Dr. Robert Balfanz. Thank you for watching This Week in Education. If you would like to hear more or the whole interview and get deeper insights, click on the audio experience in the link in the description below. You will also see links to the research and articles referenced in this episode.